Hiya, and welcome back to Far Beyond the World. The game that teaches us that because he's just following orders, Rannoch is slowly turning into Fither's bitch. Or something like that, I don't know. Real quick, like right after this stream, we're going to be doing a tier list. Another one. Hiya! Yeah, more information after. So let's just hop right in. I still have to move this over to the other window. Let's hop right in. After a short walk down the street, I can finally spot the corner shop the tea merchant mentioned. She's a wolf! I gasp, stopping dead in my tracks and observing the middle-aged female conducting business with some well-off tiger. Unbranded. Rannoch narrows his eyes and I tilt my head. A runaway? Most likely. Quite surprising to see one set up shop so close to home. He shrugs and we decide to approach. By Aluna's grace, a Turnen wolf. Her surprised words have a twinge of fear to them. It's been years since we had any newcomers here. And what's this? She darts her gaze to me, immediately scoffing at the sight of my collar. Another poor soul indentured. What he's meant to be. Your pack mule? Something like that. Kaelin. Rannoch stutters, clearly shocked I've just responded to her in their native tongue. What? It's not like she's going to tell anyone. You speak Wolfen? Damn, things back home must be deteriorating faster than I thought. You don't bear the mark of the weeping moon. Why are you here? He throws her a barely disguised accusation, causing the female to raise her brow challengingly. Why do you think? You ran off from your tribe. Like thousands of wolves before me and thousands of wolves since. She sighs, dipping her soot-stained rug into some dark paste and returning to the polishing of an ebony piece of armor. Why are you here? If you think of apprehending me, I have to warn you. Even if you'd managed to take me on, which I highly doubt judging by your blemish-free armor, the city guards would cut you down before you'd force me past the gate. So eager for the tigers to defend you? At least they're defending those in need. We're not here to start any trouble. I try to reassure her, causing the female to stop her task for a moment and give us a second. This time, less dismissive glance. No? Oh, okay then. She plops the rug to the side and rests her elbows against the counter. Wolves in these parts usually are. What can I do for you? Well, I was wondering if you could help me with these. I mutter uncomfortably, raising up one leg and drawing her attention to my makeshift footwear. Oh dear, that is a sad state of affairs, my lad. I've seen humans travel 1,000 miles in better shape than whatever that is meant to be. I was wondering if perhaps you could make a pair of shoes for me? Oh, of course I could. I'm the best shoemaker in all of Strandbard. You're the only shoemaker in all of Strandbard. A youthful voice echoes from the depths of her workshop. It's a tiger cub, no older than 12 years of age, bringing in a heavy bucket of water. Shut your yap! Never naysay me in front of a customer! She bops her head towards the kid. He must be her apprentice. You taught a tiger our tongue? My friend and protege. She corrects him. The cub wanted to honor me by learning some of my mother tongue. Who am I to object? There are no elders to demand either of our bloods here. Though I must commend your nerve for calling me out, when you've clearly done the same with this wee fella. How come his pink little head isn't on a spike yet? I think we're getting off topic. I poke Rannoch into his side. I understand all of this is somewhat new and troubling for him, but I really need shoes, and this is the only person that can help me with that. Please forgive us. It's our first time in Strandbard, and it takes some time to adjust. I bet. She gives a reluctant gaze to Rannoch, but quickly turns to face me. So, if it's shoes you want, I would have to measure your feet and create a custom last. The ones I have were made for men twice your size. Would that take long? I ask, and the female shrugs. A day or so, then the actual shoemaking could start. I'm afraid we're rather short on time, though. Perhaps we could settle for sandals? I propose, to which she nods idly. Yeah, that would work. I could knock out a pair in a few hours if you need them today, which by the looks of things you do. Yeah, how much would that cost? If you're looking for comfort and quality leather, then it'll be 8 silver plus 1 extra for priority. Sounds good? Rannoch squints his eyes, and I wonder if perhaps we're already overdoing it with this shopping expedition. But the female quickly dispels my misgivings. Seems your master doesn't like me. I find it hard to trust those who turn their back on their people. Sometimes it's the people who turn their back on you, pup. But you're young and in right company. You'll learn that soon enough. She straightens up, correcting her apron. Well then, shall we get going? Oh, yes. Come, I'll need to mark out a silhouette of your soles and measure the length to the midpoint of your calves. The female invites us in, raising the part of her counter that doubles as a door. The workshop, which is fully open on the street at one end, is still quite dim and infused with a leathery scent. Makes sense, after all that's what she's working with. Various shelves are filled with either bolts of leather or tools, while the floor is littered with bits of clothing and armor. There are even 2 fully dressed mannequins sporting quite impressive items. One graphite blue vest with nicely embroidered edges draws my attention, but my browsing is quickly dismissed by her pointing at a small stool. Sit down and I'll grab some chalk. I do as requested, and she returns promptly, pulling some thick strap of leather underneath my foot. I watch as the female outlines my feet with extra care, every now and then stopping to correct a slight mistake or check if the profile looks good. It feels awkward, so I decide to break the silence. You're very focused. You've done this before? You have no idea how many pairs of human shoes I've mended. We're the first large settlement between Tigeron and whatever's out there. Shoes break and need mending. Makes for good business. Is good business why you are here? Money? Rannoch sneers in a cold, dismissive tone, but the female takes no bait. Doesn't matter? I'm just curious. For someone claiming you aren't looking for trouble, you do seem to be itching for some. Please forgive him. It's just a touchy subject. I interject, looking at her apologetically, and the female shrugs. Hiya! Why should it be? My personal history has nothing to do with him. I wince, looking to Rannoch with worry. Perhaps it's not my secret to spill, but again, who would she share this with? And in truth, I hope that her own perspective might shed some light on things Rannoch overlooks. He was once tempted to leave Turnen, but chose to remain. Mistakes were made. Me not running off wasn't a mistake. Rannoch nearly snarls, drawing an equally challenging gaze from the female. Me running off wasn't one either. But if you must know, I have no secrets. Judging by your gear and shameless crest flashing, I infer that you're just young, born into position, ignorant, and naive. She darts her gaze between his belt and my neck. Fuck, I keep forgetting about the damn collar. I used to live in Lothian. My father was an outer alpha. I lived comfortably and quite contently, safe in the knowledge that I was matched with the friend I cared for. Were you in love? Maybe. She paused, rubbing her chin in genuine confusion. I never got to clarify her feelings, as he died young during a hunt. A massive boar charged out of nowhere and gutted him on the spot, and that was that. I'm so sorry. Is that why you left? Partially. The female shrugs. But it's my father who forced my paw. Once I was freed of my match, he could promise me to whomever. I wasn't of age yet. To cement his friendship with our overlord, he offered me to him. A gruesome, nasty-looking old fart with a mean streak and penchant for abuse. The disgust in her tone is almost palatable, but she quickly sighs it away. I felt trapped and desperate the closer our mating approached. It was settled for spring equinox. It was a harsh winter that year, apparently one of the worst in living memory. I noticed Rannoch's ears discreetly honing in on her, even though he pretends to be disinterested. I'm going to try not to. Food was scarce and the tensions were high. One night, a group of wolves were caught stealing from the granaries. They got branded and banished. As it happened, one of them was my friend's lover. He was stealing the food for her and her ward. She told me she couldn't live without him, and that she'd rather be caught trying to leave than stay another day. I gave her a sorrowful look, but she remains focused on outlining my feet. I realized there and then that I was of the same mind. I'd rather be dead than carry pups of that nasty tyrant, and with nothing keeping me back, I simply left with her the very same night and never looked back. Don't you miss your family? Rannoch asks sidily, his eyes barely meeting with hers, almost as if he felt ashamed. Not one fucking bit. The female laughs, rubbing her nose and getting up to her paws. I was 6th for my father and 4th for my mother. I was a spare to both of them, and my siblings were... Not gonna say that. I was only good for breeding and securing alliances. Anyway, that's done. She points to my feet and I get off the stool. How much will it be? 9 silver. Ah. Okay. He rummages in his purse and passes the coins to her, as she gives him a confused look. You're paying for it? Is there a problem with that? No, just not a thing most Turnen wolves would do, spend their money on their wards. I'm not most wolves. Clearly. She mutters with clear curiosity, but the exchange is interrupted by a loud, cheerful voice ringing from outside. Sloane, you mad bitch! Stay away from my son. I tire of picking his puked-up ass from every damned tavern in the city. A male tiger laughs, plopping his elbows onto the counter. Perhaps he should learn to pace himself, or simply change the object of his advances. Okay. There we go. Can you blame the lad for trying? He almost purrs at her as she leans onto the larder. Like father, like son. She mutters seductively. You both might be felines on the outside, but you're clearly dogs on the inside. You know it, Toots. Anyway, came to pick up my belt. Sloane nods and disappears momentarily beneath the counter. Here you go. Added some reinforcements around the latch. She plops it onto the top with a loud thud, and the male inspects it with a smile. Should hold even if you continue to bloat like a frog. Fuck you too, Sloane. In your dreams. Well, I better get going before the missus becomes too annoyed. See you later, and stellar work as always. I like her. You seem to fit right in. Rannoch comments, and it's hard to discern whether he means that as a compliment or an insult. Anyone fits in Strandbard. She shrugs, to which the wolf nods towards me. Even him? Especially him. Unlike us, humans don't come with a baggage of prejudice to contend with. If anything, the tigers feel pity for them. They seem fond of the buggers. I grimace slightly. Although a nice sentiment at face value, I don't like getting special treatment because I'm an endangered species. It's almost like those annoying people who get exotic pets because they look cool. Right. Anyway, were you a leather worker before you left Turnen? I offer a change of subject. Seems your work is quite praised. Nope. The female retorts casually. All my father needed me for was squirting out pups. I wasn't taught any trade back home. I frown, unable not to think about Cora and the shitty situation she's in. All I know, I learned right here. Sloane pats the counter of her shop. I was taken in by Tiger Master as an apprentice, learned the trade from him, and now I'm slowly taking over. I don't know, like I said, I like her. She's nice. That's a bit unusual, isn't it, for someone to give up their entire business to a stranger? His only son died in Euron, fighting the Wolven Horde, and that boy back there. She bobs her head towards the back room. His grandson, far too young to run this place. That's where I come in. I'm simply in charge until the boy comes of age. And he entrusted you with his son, even though a wolf killed his son and heir? Unlike us, my crest-wearing friend, tigers live in the wider world where one kin isn't treated as a collective. I keep hearing that word, but I don't know what it means. Based. I don't know what that means. I mean, for crying out loud, there are 2 Leonine realms in Euron, and they both hate each other. The female almost laughs, drawing an amused snort from Rannoch. It's not like our people get along that much better. Exactly. You should forget that noise and simply settle here, kid. She swishes her paws dismissively and looks at Rannoch intently. Thank you for your advice, but I'll pass. I mean, Tigeron is everything people say it is and more. We have real freedom here. Even if I were to believe that, I can't. He replies coldly, only egging her on. Why? Because I have duties and responsibilities. That's what they tell you. She rolls her eyes and throws her head in the imaginary direction of Turnen. My duty was to breed. Yours is to die for the glory of our people. Fuck that shit. It's not that simple. It very much is. She insists, causing Rannoch to suppress a growl. Look, I'm sorry your tribe has failed you. I'm sorry you were treated like a spare part, but if we all simply take off and leave, there will be no one left to ensure that things do change. Change? She scoffs and blinks in feigned amusement. Ah, okay. Things haven't changed for centuries because the system our ancestors established is resilient to change. That's not true. Wake up, kid. That false sense of hope is how they get you tricked into following orders, staying in line, and wishing for the best. That hope is all I have. Rannoch looks at her sternly and her expression softens. Why? Why would you ever cling to such a blatant lie? Because I'm going to lead my people one day, and I have to believe I can do better. Because if I won't do it, no one will. At first it seems she understood his point, but quickly waves her paw at him. Alphas don't mean anything in the grand scheme of... I'm not just an alpha, I'm also the future chief. Moonlit shit when someone's unlucky. She utters breathlessly, looking at Rannoch with honest pity. If I don't take my place in the tribe, someone much worse could. I frown, with my heart sinking to my stomach. All this time, I didn't even consider how crushing his fate must feel. He's virtually blackmailed into fulfilling his role, regardless of what he wants. That's fucked up. No one should be forced into such a position. Sloane voices my inner thoughts. It's not an enviable one, that's for sure. But on the bright side, you seem to be on the right track. Never thought I would live to see such an unlikely friendship. Rannoch smiles softly and nods toward me. Don't mean to be rude, but we have an important meeting to attend to. Would be great if we could get this done. Oh yeah, I guess we did get slightly sidelined. I've got some orders to finish as well. Are we going simple or extravagant? She looks to me and my confused expression prompts her to continue. I wouldn't suggest anything too ornate, but something at least matching the tunic. Yes, make them comfortable and decent looking. Of course. She nods, rummaging through various boxes. She returns with a small pelt and glides it across my skin. It's hard not to laugh as it tickles. How does this feel? Quite pleasant. Good. We'll go with calf skin then. Sloane smiles and begins arranging various small pieces of skins across my calves. This is quality work. Rannoch pokes at one of the mannequins supporting an imposing but light-looking armor set. You fucking betcha! She laughs. It is the finest leather armor money could buy. I supply the town's watch, Ambassador's personal guards, and even grokky containers. That's impressive. I nod even though I'm not sure what any of that means. Well, apart from the town's watch. I'm called a master leather worker for a damned reason. How much would you charge for it? Rannoch pops his head at the mannequin, but she just shakes hers. Don't worry about it. This piece ain't for sale. Made it to order, but a similar one, I guess 3-4 talents? That, of course, is without the embellishments and dependent on the quality of leather you want. What if we'd provide the leather? He proposes idly and the female looks at him with confusion. Hiya. Who's we? I'm here on a diplomatic mission. I want to secure trade rights to buy supplies for my tribe. And which tribe would that be? Turnin itself. Ho ho! Someone's having trouble sleeping because of their northern neighbor. She laughs and I look at her with surprise. You know about Vortigern? Know about him? I grew up near the border with Goldorin. But even if I didn't, the entire heartland's abuzz with that wolf. As much as I can appreciate your plight, I'm afraid I won't be doing business with you. Why is that? Rannoch stops admiring her wares and looks to her in surprise. First, I doubt you'll secure anything with the Ambassador. Ambassador? The magistrate. She clicks her tongue. He's not exactly keen on wolves right now, not that he ever was. Secondly, if I'd sell armor to your tribe, it wouldn't be long before the Weeping Moon learns about it. Should your enemy and my former overlord take an issue with that, it wouldn't take too heavy a purse to arrange for an accident. No, I stay away from turn-in politics, as any exiled wolf should. Is such a thing likely? Rannoch crosses his arms and looks at her in a mixture of concern and disbelief. Why so surprised? How do you think the tribes are so well informed of the events taking place beyond their forest? The Weeping Moon always crave redemption. Half of them stay in constant contact with their former chiefs, hoping for a pardon. They're spies. Rannoch concludes, and now that I think about it, it does make sense. The wolves who are left on their own don't want to go back. Those who are forced out, and thieves, thugs, and murderers. Anything they're asked for comes without a price and with double the zeal and determination money could ever buy. As they say, you don't fuck with the weeping moon. Yeah. He gives me a more stern look and I shrug uncomfortably. I really need to listen to him more. Right, I'm done measuring. Come back to me in the afternoon, around the 10th hour. I'll have your sandals ready by then. No chance to get them done now? No can do, Mr. Future Chief Diplomatic Mission. I've got some priority orders, and even if I didn't, this will take a few hours at least. One cannot rush a quality work. Either you want good sandals, or you want them fast. I can see a shift in his expression. He hoped I'd have proper footwear for the audience. So did I, actually. Well, thank you anyway. We'll collect them before sundown. Sure thing. Oh, and good luck with Ambister. Aluna knows you'll need it. Rannoch nods in gratitude, and with that, guides me to the exit. As we walk back towards the market, I drag my feet a little, trying to readjust my improvised burlap shoes. Rannoch seems to be deep in thought, and can I blame him? The conversation took a rather heavy turn. But at least now I can be more mindful of the magnitude of the burden he carries. He wants his people to change, and for better or worse, he's the only insurance of that change ever happening. As flawed as he might be, I have no doubt in my heart he truly is best suited for the job. Okay, quick rundown, we got sandals, sandals are being made right now. Some drama going on in Turnin. And, whatchamacallit. Now we're gonna go see the magistrate to, get credit for war. I think that sums it up. Oh my god. Before, I saw his position as that of privilege. Now, it seems more like a curse. As Sloane said it, he's one unlucky wolf. You okay? I mutter softly, drawing his attention. Yeah, it's just a shame to see such talent wasted. Well, not wasted. I smirk. She seems to be flourishing here. She should be flourishing at home, praised and respected by her own people, not foreigners. If only life were that easy. I sigh in slight realization. I can't help but think of Cora. Oh? I look up at him in surprise as a deep frown mars Wolf's muzzle. You, too, made that connection? How couldn't I? Their situation is almost identical. Doesn't Cora have an intended? She does. He groans painfully. Some idiot pawns from Onwin. I saw that wolf a few years ago during Cora's naming ceremony. Those two did not get along. She'll be discarded once he beds her and puts a pup in her, with no sorrow on Cora's part either. I'm sorry to hear that. I grimace, getting a much fuller picture of their messed up matchmaking system. It's highly dysfunctional. I need to figure out a way to set her up with that moron Colin. I don't understand why he's not taking the bait. A wolf like him should be so lucky to catch her attention. Perhaps you're the problem. I propose, much to his surprise. How's that? You're quite intimidating, and your rouse with Cora gets even me fooled at times. My voice wavers slightly at his embarrassing revelation. He might think you're both in this for the long haul and simply not want to draw your ire. You know, by stepping onto your territory. Maybe. He shrugs, unconvinced. Whatever it is, I need to figure something out. The last thing I'd want is for Cora to be forced to follow in that she-wolf's paw prints. I couldn't bear to lose her. She is sweet. I smile, placing a paw on his arm. I'm sure we'll figure something out. Besides, Cora's more resilient than you give her credit for. She doesn't strike me as someone needing saving. That I can agree on. You're right, the art's there. He nods in mild amusement as we come to a stop before the magistrate's palace. Seeing the massive structure tower above me like an iceberg forces an involuntary heavy swallow. You ready for this? Nope. Just stay quiet and follow my lead. I nod nervously and tread behind the wolf, stepping through the marbled threshold. God damn. God damn. That's nice. Holy shit. Like, okay, I think we got like a magical Lin Hu there. He looks a lot like Lin Hu. Do I have a picture of Lin Hu loaded on here? I think I have a picture of Lin Hu loaded on here. No. Yeah, I do. Lin Hu. Like, they look somewhat similar, kind of. Not really. The hall we enter is spacious, with a complex vaulted ceiling spanning the entire width of the building. Heavy lanterns hang from up above on metal chains while light glistens and reflects from the polished surfaces. Okay, I'm gonna move this back up, the chat box. I'm gonna move it back up. But holy shit. The floor is like a puzzle made from various pieces of marble of different colors, guiding your eyes towards the front desk. Oh my god! I'm just... The desk itself, wooden and sturdy, is crowned with an imposing white statue of a tiger warrior, clasping a great sword and wearing a rather foreboding crown. I barely dare to meet my gaze with the lifeless eyes of what I assume is a sorcerer king. Okay, I'm gonna, like, hide Lin Hu. But holy shit. Wow. Beneath him, working with diligence and reverence, a tigress shuffling documents and wooden tablets. She's so buried in her task that she doesn't even notice we've entered. Why would she? We're but a speck of dust floating in the sheer scale of this lobby. Halfway through our approach, we're being cut off by an official draped in a rather ceremonial garment, rushing from one side of the hall and disappearing into another. Seems to be a rather busy place. Rannoch clears his throat as he rests his paws against the counter, drawing the surprised gaze of the tigress. Yes, how can I help you? Me see Tiger Chief, diplomacy, very important. Huh? The female blinks, giving us a rather exaggerated, confused expression. Diplomat, Tiger Chief, now. Rannoch reiterates, and she only leans back into her chair. Do you mean the magistrate? Yes, the magistrate. Important greeting. Much diplomacy. Yes, the magistrate. Important greeting. Much diplomacy. Honestly, beautiful. I snort, clasping my mouth in embarrassment that I did not manage to hold that one in. The female hangs her gaze at me for just a split second, herself being quite spellbound by what was said. I'm sorry, but the magistrate is quite busy right now. Do you have an appointment? What is she on about? Hang on. Is this a thing? Is this a thing? Go. Hang on. Hang on. Can I, like, find one? Can I, like, find it? I just had to... I'm gonna make that. It has to be a thing. It simply has to. Oh my god. Just... It has to be a thing. It has to be a thing. I'm going to make it a thing. The stream's just casually dying right now. And there we go. Okay, can I, like, select those two and then group them? Hold on, we gotta wait for it to load. Just yes. Group into folder. Can I, like, not name it? Oh my god, I can't. Oh my god, I'll worry about it later, like, after the stream. I'll just, like, worry about the, much diplomacy later. Because I want to keep it on here for the rest of the stream. Just much diplomacy. What is she on about? He leans towards me, and I whisper back. I don't think I have a monocle on my computer, and honestly the stream's like already dying a little bit. He leans toward me and I whisper back. She asks if you have an appointment. No. The wolf responds. We walk many miles. Just arrived. I bring goodwill of Wolf Clan to Tiger Chief. No pointing needed. I don't know what to say. The tiger seems to be speechless. No need for your speech. Just point to Tiger Chief. Tell him me Termin diplomat. No, I mean, I don't know how to tell you that this is not how we do things around here. Okay, Mr. Future Chief Diplomatic Mission. I teasingly paraphrase Sloan, much to Rannoch's annoyance. Should I jump in, or you got this? Oh, shut it. He growls softly and plops the heavy chest he's been carrying onto the desk. Here, serious business. He unlocks the latch and opens the box, flooding the room with a glimmer of pure gold. What in the world? She nearly hugs the wall behind her, looking around as if to check if she's being pranked. Hiya. Oh, shit. Like, new follow. Oh my god, thank you for the follow. I just, like, noticed. Mateo, oh, thank the light. Could you please join me for a minute? She reaches out to one of the passing officials, and the tiger looks at her with slight bemusement. Light have mercy. If I knew I'd be running the front desk as well, I would have asked for a raise. This is serious. The female insists, and her colleague just rolls his eyes. Of course it is. This wolf came in with a servant wanting to see Ambister. So? Not the oddest delegation passing through this hall, if you ask me. That's not the point, the female sneers. He has no appointment, no credentials. There you have it. Case closed. He can be out on his merry way. Book an appointment for next month or something. I'm drowning in census reports up to my neck. I don't have time for what appears to be a human trafficking canine. He gives me a less than pleasant look. Oh, just shut up and look! She grabs the male's vestments and stops him from leaving and opens up the latch of the box. Again, the golden glow floods the room, and this time it's the tiger's turn to jump away as if burned. Holy shit. Right? What do I do? What do you mean, what do I do? Is your head on backwards? Send him up. But Ambister is in a meeting. There's a wolf in here, from Turnin, with what appears to be at least 60 pounds of gold. If you want to send him out through that door, you are insane, girl. This conversation never happened. Don't mix me up in your fuck-ups. I have enough of my own, thank you very much. Fuck. She groans as her colleague takes his theatrical leave, much to Rannoch's amusement. He sneaks a discreet glance of satisfaction and triumph, signaling to me that he'd won. For now, Fluff. For now. It's not that hard to get your way with bureaucrats when you flash him with a chest full of gold. What is your name? Rannoch, son of Varrock, Turnin tribe. Right. If you please go and take a seat, I will see what I can do. She points to one of the far-off benches, and reluctantly, Rannoch follows the instruction. We sit down, with me continuously struggling to contain stray chuckles at the exchange, much to Rannoch's dismay. I'm enjoying this switcheroo way more than I should. We don't have to wait long, as within moments, the tigress is calling us back, somehow managing to confirm an audience without ever leaving her spot. His Excellency has graciously decided to grant you an audience, but I'll need you to leave your weapons here. She smiles awkwardly, nodding towards Rannoch's rather imposing gear. You'll be able to collect it from this desk once your business is concluded. I can see the wolf is not exactly keen on the idea, but I simply shrug and nod towards the receptionist. It's a fair request. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Once Rannoch is fully disarmed, the female bows respectfully. If you go up the stairs up to the second floor, cross through the archway and stop before the second door on the right. There are some benches there for you to sit on, as it might take a while. Today's a very busy day, I'm afraid. Did you say important business? Much diplomacy? Rannoch asks in a rather impatient tone. Yes, yes, much diplomacy indeed. Jesus Christ. I'm dying, I'm dead. I'm fucking dead. She nods, barely containing mockery. That is why you're being granted this audience on such short notice. Don't look gifted horse in the mouth. I whisper, bumping into his shoulder, but the wolf only looks around in confusion. What horse? There are no horses. Oh my god, I'm dying. Oh my god, I'm dying. It means leave it. It's good we've gotten an audience at all. I sigh, pulling him towards the stairs when we begin our climb up. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was beautiful. I fiddle with my fingers, watching as the wolf paces nervously in front of the bench. His paws slap the marbled floor in a rhythmic pattern, echoing across the empty antechamber. It would be enough to lull me to sleep, if not for the bustle of the town outside. Flop, 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 another series of steps resonate in a different direction, and it begins to slowly bother me. Despite patting the seat beside to me on multiple occasions, Rannoch decides to act like an impatient child. This is ridiculous. We've been waiting here for hours. Calm down, there's not much else we can do about it. I mutter, again trying to make him sit, but the wolf continues to ignore me. We could just walk out. Oh yeah, that'll show him. And what will we tell your father? I scoff, looking at him in disbelief. That you lost patience because you had to wait for an audience? Pompous, self-important tigers. He is the magistrate. We kinda showed up at his doorstep unannounced. I try to reason the prolonging wait, but Rannoch sneers in annoyance and returns to his pacing. This is deliberate. They've always treated our people like... He cuts off as a massive door finally cracks open. It does so slowly, almost theatrically, like a curtain pulling up on opening night. Lord Rannoch of Turnen. A deep voice invites us in, and a look to the wolf with a soft smile. Seems our wait is finally over. Good. Sounds more like a threat than anything else. Agreed. At least you'll stop your grumbling. I tease and jump off the bench, nodding for him to lead us into the room proper. Just remember, a good diplomat speaks softly. I try to remind him, but he huffs in annoyance and rushes onward. I'm a wolf, not a sheep. I really don't like the sound of that. Very much diplomacy. That is a lot of diplomacy right there. That is so much diplomacy. Like, oh my god. I want to be that much diplomacy. I'm gonna move this up here. That is so much diplomacy, like, oh my god. The chamber is quite tall, with intricately decorated vaulted ceiling depicting an open blue sky. I admire the woodwork and paneling as we walk up towards a wide desk resting against a magnificent window. Oh my god, why is the manager taking so long to get here? I've been waiting for hours for the manager. Sir, it's only been 3 minutes. It gives a prime view of the city's bustling marketplace, and I smile at the mayhem taking place between the stalls. The smell of spices and incense overpowers the senses even up here, high above the rooftops. To my surprise, I find myself remarkably at ease in such a setting. It almost feels like home. Tiger version of Kato, is that you? Finally, we come to a stop at the desk where seated in an imposing chair is an older tiger who, despite his age, looks quite handsome and not at all past his prime. Ah, Lord Rannoch, what do I owe the honor of your visit? I wait very long. My wolf utters in a somewhat broken speech. I had a feeling his tigery would become an issue, but the language barrier seems to be the least of our problems. Rannoch's not even trying to hide his frustration and SI internally. Indeed, I'm afraid we're quite busy. So many foreigners passing through our town. Why, just the other day we've had an emissary from Lynx Terra. But enough of our problems. Let me hear of your troubles. They must be quite something to have forced you to our doors. The tiger waves his paws as if chasing an imaginary fly and looks at Rannoch inquisitively. With that choice of words, he leaves no doubt that he's very much not in the dark as to our intentions. No trouble, just trade. Rannoch responds with a stone expression, but it's clear the magistrate is not convinced. Oh? Forgive me if I'm taken aback. One is led to believe you wolves only leave your precious woods when in need of something. We need nothing. My wolf reiterates sternly through his fangs, almost as if offended by the insinuation his people are in need. But they very much are. Otherwise, what was the point in coming here? At first, the magistrate mirrors my baffled expression, but quickly determination returns to his muzzle. A social occasion, then. He shrugs, getting up from his chair and while pulling on a silken cord next to his desk. I look back startled as a massive doors behind us creaks open yet again, and I realize we're at a loss here. In that case, I'm afraid our talks are concluded. I have far more pressing matters and... Forgive me, my lord, for speaking out of turn. I step forward, catching both males by surprise. Hell, I even surprise myself, now that their penetrating gazes are centered on me. But while Rannoch's expression remains that of surprise, the magistrate smiles shallowly, almost begging to question if it's a genuine shift or not. There's nothing to forgive, my friend. In Tigeron, no kin speaks out of turn. The very concept is entirely lost on us, I'm afraid. He emphasizes, looking back to Rannoch with scorn. I misspoke then. Forgive me my boldness in addressing you so directly, but we have traveled far, and I'll just ask for a moment of your time. The tiger looks at me with a puzzled expression, but it seems I have captured his interest. He pulls on the cord again, and I can see the light flooding from behind slowly recede as the wooden wings come closer together. Once I can hear the audible click announcing the doors are shut once more, I sigh in relief. We didn't come this far to have Rannoch's pride hamper on our diplomatic task. The magistrate returns to the desk, reaches for a crystal... I don't know how to pronounce that.
Self-voicing enabled. The magistrate returns to the desk, reaches for a crystal carafe.
And pours himself a generous glass of deep scarlet wine. Have you been offered any refreshments? Yes, my lord, twice in fact. I nod, genuflecting gracefully. Then let me make it a third. The tiger extends the drink in my direction, causing me to blink in confusion. I half expected the glass to be meant for him, but it seems the older male observes the form of a good host. Trying not to cause offense, I nod in gratitude, approach slowly, and take the glass from the paw. Thank you, my lord. You should enjoy it. It's better than anything the Sylvan folk can produce in their burrows. Good grapes need light and open hills. Two things Turn clearly lacks, along with whatever else you came here for. The tiger pours another glass and offers it to Rannoch, but the wolf just shakes his head. He's more stubborn than full at times. But instead of taking offense, the magistrate just shrugs and seats himself comfortably, bopping his drink in my direction in a silent toast. I oblige, and we both take a sip. Once the wine hits my tongue, I groan in satisfaction, taking an involuntary lick of my lips. Told you. The tiger laughs, and I nod in agreement. The wine's indeed delicious. It's rich and quite sweet, just like any good wine should be. We here no drink, just talk. Again, the wolf struggles to form a proper sentence to the magistrate's growing amusement. Rannoch's tigery is just as lacking as his manners are. His dislike for everything is clear to see. I'd ask for your forgiveness, my lord. The wolf kind can be quite irritable when out of their element. Irritable? I'd say impertinent. The tiger scoffs as he sloshes the wine around in his glass, allowing me the opportunity to give Rannoch a disapproving look. I assure you, my lord, that we mean no disrespect, just a communication issue. The magistrate looks at me carefully, inspecting every inch of my attire. Once he took a good measure, he flashes his brows. My, this is quite the surprise. An eloquent slave. I frown, seeing that their attitudes are very much playing off of each other. Unless I do something, this audience is going to end up in a quarrel for sure. I decide to lean onto his claim that to all tigers, all kin are equal. This time, I think you should ask for my pardon, my lord, for I am no slave. I stayed firmly, but calmly enough to cause the tiger to give me a less dismissive look. I came here as a companion and advisor to Rannoch. I am here to aid him in overcoming any potential cultural and language barriers. Is that so? At first he sounds hesitant, but quickly he shrugs it off, bopping his glass in my direction again. If this truly is the state of affairs, then indeed I shall require your forgiveness. I'm afraid my assumption comes from a rather long history of bad experiences between our species. I will grant you forgiveness, my lord, if you grant us a moment of your time, complimented with some patience and understanding. Both the males give me surprised looks. I can see that Rannoch understands what I'm saying. He's just taken aback by the way I'm saying it. I guess a life of combat training leaves very little time to study the art of diplomacy. Yeah. This is quite interesting. The tiger muses as he pushes deeper into his chair, seating himself in a more relaxed and comfortable manner. I had hosted a group of Venaran envoys to the Sorcerer King just a fortnight ago. None of them wielded tigery in such a natural fashion as you do. I'd ask if you are local, but I know that's not to be true. He shakes his head, toying with the wine glass. There are no humans this side of the Serpentine, yet your accent does not match that of Freyfall either. I'm humbled by your interest, my lord, but our matters here relate to the Woven tribe of Turin, not my mundane origin. I'm sure it's anything, but... The magistrate scoffs in obvious suspicion, downing the rest of his wine. Oh my god, right? Very well, what do you want? He addresses the wolf as he refills his glass, and I look to Rannoch with worry. I take a shallow sip to mask my pleading expression from our host. Please, softly, iron. Try one other things too, grain and medicine. Your father has placed an embargo on trade between our people. Was one of the first things he did as chief. Rannoch blinks in evident shock, completely thrown off by the remark regarding his parentage, and the tiger revels in it. Yes, I know who you are, boy. I'd be poor at my job if I didn't. The magistrate states plainly as he takes a long, satisfied gulp. Varrock has upheld that embargo for over 20 years, only allowing exchanges to take place on preferential terms for your kind. We had nothing to do with your grandfather's lunacy. What's more, we stayed away from your affairs even when we had ample reason to interfere. My gaze starts to Rannoch, who's clearly getting upset by whatever's being mentioned. I cannot deny that I'm myself getting quite curious as to what actually transpired. I recall Varrock hating the sheer mention of his father. So what happened? But all this has to wait, as our conversation began spiraling into dangerous territory. For our restraint and patience in the face of your people's transgressions, we were punished. Why should I open my markets to you after decades of such unjust treatment? I have gold. Ah yes, as if that made a lick bit of a difference. Do you see this, wolf? The magistrate sprawls his paws towards the hall around us. Do I look as if I could be swayed by a mere crateful of coins? I'm a magistrate of the Heartlands. In this realm, we sow and reap while coins sprout from the ground beneath us. You are a magnificent administrator, as evident by the splendid city surrounding us. But as any good administrator, I'm sure you'd never frown at a potential new source of revenue. The male wiggles his nose slightly at the comment, but then waves at Rannoch, bidding him to place the chest at the table. The wolf does so with a heavy clank, and the tiger inspects the contents. The glimmer of gold flickers across the marbled walls, but the tiger's expression doesn't shift an inch. He closes the chest with indifference and folds his hands. Ingots. I suppose you would need those liquefied? What? Rannoch throws his head towards me, and I smile gently. He means you'd need them exchanged for coins. Yes, coins for trade. Thought so. The old tiger closes his eyes and ponders for a moment. I can easily arrange for the funds to be available to you, but the main issue still stands. Why should I allow for trade between our peoples after all that happened? Because the generosity of Tigeron is known far and wide. I step in once again, suspecting that another outburst might be brewing inside the wolf. Your kin answers answers injustice with justice. The trade between your two peoples has indeed been conducted in an unfair manner, but it is something that can be addressed at a later date. What? Rannoch blurts out, drawing the attention of the tiger. Your master begs to differ, it would seem. I half expect the wolf to stand his ground, but to my surprise, Rannoch straightens up in size. No, humans speak for I. Really? The magistrate's disbelief sounds more like mockery. Seems you have tamed a wolf, sir. A rare occurrence in these parts. He continues his jabs, and I decide that enough is enough. I would appreciate if we could refrain from veiled insults directed at my companion. I have his confidence, just as he has mine. I try to sound stern enough to make the older male reconsider his behavior, and to my relief, he does. Again, my apologies. I hope you can forgive my slips of the tongue, considering the extraordinary circumstances of this audience. The magistrate corrects himself in his seat, looking back to the wolf with a more toned expression. So, your people need iron. I assume it's not just any regular metal you're after. You want tigery steel. Why should we arm your folk with our most prized resource? Protection. Protection? Ha! Your kin has been raiding our realms for generations. The only ones in need of protection are my people. The tiger laughs contemptuously and darts his gaze between us. It's clear that Rannoch is lost for words, most likely because he's fuming, but also because he's never played a diplomatic role in his life. Well, anything to add? How about you, human? The magistrate's penetrating stare now lands on me, and I fidget. In truth, I have no idea what I could reply. I don't know their history, and if Rannoch isn't eager to correct the statement, there might be a grain of truth to it. What's the matter? Wolf got your tongue? Let us speak freely. You're no longer in the Wolven Forest, beholden to their barbaric laws. I am speaking freely, my lord. Despite what you think, I have come here as an equal, although employed in Rannoch's service. I try to reassert the truth, but the tiger just waves his paw at me dismissively, clearly not trusting my words. Rannoch's faltering facade of calm is not helping either, and the wolf barely keeps his composure, clearly aggravated by the tiger's continuing jabs. As you wish then, but my question still stands. Why should I arm his kin? He says they need protection. From what? This is a complicated situation, more so than I'm qualified to handle. Yet the line of questioning is so pointed that it's hard to believe it comes out of nowhere. Oh my god, yes! I give a worried glance to Rannoch, who's almost shaking in anger, and before I allow him enough time to let his emotions take over, I decide to make a gamble. There's a war coming. I state plainly, drawing Rannoch's shock and momentary ire. The magistrate, on the other hand, looks to me intently, but his expression barely shifts. A chief from the north named Voldegern is building up a force poised on conquest. We do not know where his attention might ultimately shift, but for now, he's eyeing out his brethren. There's a momentary pause, and I could hear my own heart pounding inside my chest. I swallow heavily, waiting for a reaction. Anything at all, and eventually, the tiger nods. We've heard as much. He admits, drawing Rannoch's attention, and I sign relief. I was right. He was prodding us for the truth. But how's another Wolven squabble any of our problems? Why should I waste my time and resources on something inevitable, which occurs with almost regular frequency? Because this doesn't seem a typical Wolven... Damn it. This doesn't seem a typical Wolven squabble, as you so adequately put it. Kalen. Rannoch tries to interrupt, but I ignore him, taking one step forward. We're in too deep. This is an ambitious chieftain bent on power beyond anything the region has seen in years. Should turn and fall, it wouldn't be one troublesome chief in a far-off corner in the woods you'll have to worry about, but an entire kin united under the iron grip of a tyrant. Who's to say his ambition would end there? I finish with a question, quite happy to see I've caught the magistrate's undivided attention. He allows my words to hang as he contemplates them, while I sneak glances at utterly confused Rannoch. I'm not sure he's angry with me for saying too much, or for sidelining him. In truth, I'm not sure he's angry at all. He looks more dazed, stunned. But he doesn't remain that for long, as the magistrate breaks his silence, poking his finger in my direction. I like this human, a straight shooter and an honest one at that. Very much credit to his kin. He says at Rannoch, and the wolf gives an idle flick of his tail, banishing any fears I might have angered him. He's pleased. At least for now. You know, lad, I've spent many a day in Freyfall debating my human counterparts on issues of politics and governance. The tiger now speaks in my direction, pouring himself another serving of wine. In fact, I've been president in Bengaron, when a first human magistrate was elevated to such a post nearly 14 years ago. You remind me much of him, bold and without a hint of deceit. he states with satisfaction, bopping his glass at me, and we take another silent toast as wet our lips. Your kind is honor-driven, more so than the wolves would ever give you credit for. I'm sure your candidness did not earn you any favor with your master. It speaks for I. The wolf mutters, causing the magistrate to laugh. Ha! Even his tongue betrays his mind. You're property to him, a property that speaks out of turn. Another jab causes a subdued growl to escape Rannoch's throat, and once more I am forced to mediate. My lord, as I said, we have traveled far, and, forgive my frankness, we did not do so to exchange insults. We won't correct the prejudice of ages today in this room. We're simply here to humbly ask for a trade, as on as fair a term as you'll find in your heart to offer. You have a talent for speeches, my boy. Silver tongue if I ever met one. He smiles in admiration and looks towards a marble pedestal with a bust of a royal feline-looking figure. The Sorcerer King would love you. I have half a mind of snatching you, putting up in a crate and shipping off to the capital. Strictly speaking, that would be kidnapping. I respond teasingly, yet my voice is lined with worry. Not exactly sure if he wouldn't consider such an act as a rescue. Indeed. And yet it's the most common way one finds himself in the service of a wolf. Another jab draws an irritated sigh from Rannoch, but as much as I find this childish, in this instance, I cannot think of a retort. Knowing what I know about Trist, it's very much an accurate assessment. Thankfully, the tiger doesn't dwell on it, and he addresses me once again. What is your name? Kalen, my lord. Your full name, boy. It's just Kalen, I'm afraid. No one's ever just a name. He responds with growing suspicion, and I decide to humor his curiosity. More so since I can dispel any of his assumptions as to how I found myself at Rannoch's side. I must be known then, and might just as well be true. I was found bleeding and near death. Whatever caused my wretched state is lost to me, just as all my prior memories are. Whatever your thoughts on the wolves might be, they have saved me. The magistrate listens carefully as I point towards Rannoch with an open hand. He has found me and took me in. He sheltered, fed, and clothed me. He promised to help me recover my memory and find my way back home. I'm simply repaying a debt incurred, as any honorable creature would. Well said, my friend. I'm not going to hide our dislike for your comrade over there. His kind has been quite a thorn in our side for many generations. Rannoch is an honorable wolf. I state sternly, and the tiger shrugs with little conviction. Oh, I do not doubt that he believes himself so. Perhaps even you believe it, considering how passionately you defend him. But at the end of the day, he is a wolf. Meaning, I don't hide my displeasure at his blatant xenophobia. His people, when stripped of all disguise and pretense, are savages who follow a primitive doctrine of might makes right. From my limited experience, I would say that's a natural condition for most in power, from a lowly servant to the highest of magistrates. I emphasize the last part, causing the tiger to smile. Again, he bops his finger at me, and his amusement becomes apparent. You're a sharp one, I'll give you that. I'm also not going to deny that the devotion you exhibit for your lord is touching, perhaps a bit perverse considering your circumstance, but not without merit. However, do not take me for a fool. His tone turns. Tigron, and by extension Avalon as a whole, function on three principles: liberty, equality, and fraternity, all three completely foreign a concept to the wolven kind. Very well then, I won't try to change your mind. I nod in defeat, taking the tiger by surprise. But take this into account, my life was saved by these wolves, who now face a threat of an invasion. I am without any illusion as to what my fate would have been were I found in Vortigern's lands. What you need to ask yourself, my good sir, is if you prefer that sort of a wolf as your neighbor. The tiger reclines comfortably into his chair, tapping his fingers against the armrests. I give a worried look to Rannoch, who, despite being slightly unsettled, tries to muster an encouraging smile. The silence protracts uncomfortably, and I'm about to speak up, when the magistrate stands up and ruffles some jingling bits inside one of his pockets. He retrieves a small golden key and walks towards a side cupboard, which he unlocks with. Watch curiously as he removes a scroll with a seal already broken, and walks back to take his seat. I have here in my paw something I've not shared with anyone yet. In fact, not even the capital was made aware of this. The tiger speaks in a hushed voice, shaking the parchment. His tone seems devoid of any previous levity or scorn, as he looks intently at Rannoch. For the first time, he's addressing the wolf as an actual partner in an honest conversation. It's a letter from Vortigern himself, a pompous upstart, but quite dedicated. I'll give him that. He's styling himself in such a manner that would make our most decadent of nobles feel aghast. Just reading the preamble took me a good minute or two. I let out a weak chuckle, drawing the tiger's attention. I remember very well how Vortigern's titles were greeted at the feasting ground. Can you guess what said letter contains? The magistrate asks, and I blink. I wouldn't presume. Entertain me, please. He requests politely and decide to oblige. I guess he asked for you to stay out of Wolven affairs. Asked, you indeed are human. The tiger scoffs in amusement, shaking his head. It was a demand, quite stern in fact, so you can see my conundrum when it comes to your master's request. Which wolf should I listen to? Your freekin, my lord, as you asserted many times. I mutter as respectfully as possible. You're also a leader of a sovereign people. You do not have to listen to anyone. But if I were you, I would consider a humble request made in person over a petulant demand made in writing. The tiger reclines back into his seat, linking his fingers at his chin. His entire demeanor shifts as his posture betrays a growing ease in our presence. My dear wolf, I have no idea what madness forced such a cunning little thing into your service, but you should count your blessings. Indeed, Master Kalen, we're of the same mind. He looks to me with a kind smile. I shall grant your wolven friend his right of unrestricted trade. The magistrate waves a finger in Rannoch's direction. But make no mistake, Wolf, I'm only doing so thanks to that crafty creature next to you, which I know your people hold in contempt. Thank you, my lord. Tribe thanks. I bow graciously, while Rannoch gives a half-hearted nod. Leave the gold with me. It's not wise for any individual to carry such wealth around unarmed. Rannoch looks at the chest slightly worriedly, but I place a hand on his shoulder. After all, that was the point of our mission, to use the gold to establish credit. I'll prepare the documents for you to take back to your chief. 10 copies should suffice. I don't see any need for more, as I doubt he'd send enough merchants to wield them anyway. 10 is good. Again, my wolf nods as the magistrate empties his glass. Good. Realizing I've been quite tardy with my drink, I decide to do the same, although it seems a shame to guzzle such a good vintage in a single go. As I rub my lips clean, I return the glass to a silver tray beside the carafe on the table, and the magistrate walks up to the silken cord. I guess this means our business is done. He tugs at it, and the door behind us creaks open once again. Give my regards to Varrock. I might dislike your kind on a whole, but your father is the least disagreeable wolf I've met. You and he meet? Rannoch seems taken aback. We did. Twice, in fact. You look quite like him, at least before he'd gotten fat. Tell him he owes me a rematch. You fight? Now even I'm surprised, but the magistrate laughs it off, waving his hand in amusement. No, he beat me a round of chess 20 years ago. I consider myself something of a champion in that game, so such a slight cannot stand. Oh. Rannoch seems disappointed that it wasn't a contact sport, and it almost makes me laugh. Considering the whispers reaching me from your woods, I wouldn't be surprised if we met again. I'll be taking a great interest in you, my pink-skinned friend. A very close interest indeed. The tiger nods in my direction and a smile back at him. Eventually, we take another bow as we slowly retreat from the chamber. Just as we're about to cross the threshold, the magistrate's voice echoes across the room. Oh, and another thing. Tell your father that next time he wants to treat with me, he can send the human instead. I don't want to see that insolent brown wolf ever again. Guests should know when they wear out their welcome. He calls out in a mix of jest and genuine complaint. Before any of us can respond, he's tugging at the cord again, and the door begins to shut. Our way out of the town hall is awkward, to say the least. I'm still unsure if I haven't overstepped any boundaries, while Rannoch is buried deep in thought. True, I might have taken the reins of the negotiation, but considering his attitude and language barrier, what else was I supposed to do? Still, I guess I can understand his ire to a degree. It was his mission, after all. Achievement unlocked! Much diplomacy. Yes! Why did you tell him about Vortigern? He finally breaks the silence, muttering disapprovingly and causing me to twitch, but only for a moment. I was kind of expecting this, so I take a deep sigh and simply look him in the eye. Honesty can go a long way in building up a relation, while it cost us nothing. If the leatherworker knows, you think he wouldn't? I suspected that the magistrate would be aware of Vortigern's shenanigans, so telling him as much didn't reveal anything of value. The wolf looks ahead, still mulling over the situation. We stay like this for as long as it takes to clear the marbled staircase. I don't like him. He's a snide tiger. He seemed fine to me. That's because you groveled. Tigers always love a good grovel. He almost sounds accusatory, and I rest my hands on my hips. I wouldn't say I groveled. I just showed deference to someone above my station. With that kind of mindset, everyone would prove to be above your station. His slightly grumpy expression and irritated tone make me smile, and I shake my head. When you talk like that, I'm tempted to slap your ears. Take it as you will, but it's true. One must assert his place in life. That's just woven posturing again. I shrug as we finally enter the lobby. We fall silent for a moment, approaching the front desk, but just as we're about to address the secretary, a whistling sound draws our collective attention. She walks to the back wall and uncorks what looks like a pipe stretching all the way up towards the ceiling. Yes, Your Excellency? The female puts her muzzle against the opening and then leans in her ear. What in the... It's a speaking tube. I conclude in amazement as we watch the tigress listen to an unintelligible voice coming down the pipe. Of course, understood, Your Excellency. She plugs the tube again and returns to face us. The Lord Magistrate will have your documentation prepared. You'll be able to collect it from this very desk at the end of the day. Also, here are your weapons. The secretary says with a polite tone, struggling to plop Rannoch's 2 swords and a pauldron on the desk. Once they clank against the wooden counter, the wolf begins to dress up while I nod in gratitude. Thank you. We proceed toward the exit, while Rannoch shakes his head in disapproval. Talking tubes. They're crazy, those tigers. I barely contain a chuckle. He's really struggling to find himself in this new place. Although not exactly modern by my standards, certain gadgets those tigers enjoy must almost feel like science fiction to him. Quick question. Do you know if there's, like, much more content in this update, or do we need to, like, stop here? Like, do we need to stop here, or do we need to just keep going? Okay. Well, in that case, we are going to leave off here tonight. I fucking love that magistrate. I fucking love him. Okay, you keep saying the good surprise, and I'm curious as to what it is. But it's a surprise, so yeah. Like, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm, like, dancing right now. I'm excited. Oh my god, right? Yeah, I'm gonna hop off and then hop back on. It was suggested that, like, a gay furry visual novel tier list, so I'm gonna do one of those right after I hop off and then hop back on to live stream it. So, yeah. Yep. Stay safe, have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow, if not immediately.